Hey YouTube, DMix here. What you just heard is a track that I composed entirely out of the new library by Spitfire Audio called the Speculative Memories. This is a library that they did in collaboration with Yair Lazar Klotman, this name here, in case I completely butchered that. Spitfire Audio very kindly sent me this library to review, so just so you guys know going forward. I am, however, going to try to be as unbiased as I possibly can. The reason why they sent me this library is because, quote unquote, they thought that it fit my aesthetic and vibe. Very cool, Spitfire. Thank you so much, because it absolutely does. I did have to look up the composer that this library was made with, but I'm very glad that I did. He has worked on projects with Johan Johansson, one of my favorite composers, rest in peace, as well as Hildur, this name. In my opinion, this library showcases exactly what Spitfire Audio does best. They are at the top of their game when they do these small, minimal libraries with these great composers who have all these unique sounds and aesthetic to them. You know, I think Spitfire Audio's done the orchestral library. I think they've done it many, many times. They've done it to death. They're good at it, and they don't need to do that anymore. But libraries like this, where it takes orchestral elements and turns them into sound design elements and, you know, runs them through analog gear, runs them through synthesizers, stuff like that. These are the types that are invaluable to my compositions. The reason for that being is because I know that there's going to be a large amount of people who are going to say this is just a texture library and they don't need it and they can create most of these sounds themselves. Well, sure, that might be true, but why would you want to do that? The way that I compose and the way that I work is I try to get from point A to point B as quickly as I can with the highest quality that I possibly can. So libraries like this, the Contemporary Drama Toolkit, the British Drama Toolkit, the Oliver Arnold stuff, the string evolutions, the chamber evolutions. All those libraries create almost an instant vibe and an instant aesthetic that you can insert into your score. So let's take a deep dive into this really quick. Let's see what's going on here. So the first thing I did was I composed this little organ, I guess you could call it ostinato. And let's see what plugin I use. I use the acceleration patch. And this one goes like this. You know, very syncopated. Every few bars it turns around and finally gets back onto the downbeat, but you can't really hear where the downbeat is in the context of everything. Secondly, I layered it with this vocal patch. That is the slow pulses. And I love this patch. I love that it has this sort of driving energy to it, but it's very, very minimal. Comprised completely of, Sarah Force's voice. But not just that, but it actually evolves, and you can actually hear around the stereo field it doing these different things and like panning around and different little artifacts here and there. And then I added in this tense metallic melody sort of on top. And that's the piano granular drops. Super cool. Like I said, all of these patches are just alive, and by that I mean they evolved. If you hold down a note, you can't really hear the loop point because there's so much going on in them. The longer it goes, the more things that you will start to hear, and it will start to come out to the surface. So these are definitely the type of patches that I love, because when I compose and I want to write, a lingering drone over the thing that I'm composing, I don't want it to be static. I don't want it to just be one flat pad that, goes on forever. I want it to have movement. I want it to evolve. I want it to sort of swirl around the stereo space a little bit. And that's honestly what most of these patches do. And the next thing that I had in is this kind of organ mixed with very metallic-y sound. And the patch is actually called Distant and Broken, which is kind of like me. So naturally I had to use it. And then next you will hear this big double bass sounding swell come in. Yep. And those two patches are, let me see. Spiccato Mayhem? I mean, how could you not put that in? I mean, this one sounds pretty awesome. It reminds me of the Westwood Untamed libraries, like the violin Untamed, viola, cello, double bass Untamed. I have all four of them, and I love them, and I feel like a lot of patches in this will fit right in with them. It's that kind of wild cluster sort of storm sound that Westwood kind of perfected. The other patch that comes in and swells with it is this really distorted, grungy double bass tone, naturally called Distorted Swell. And I don't know if you can hear that, but the low end on that is thick. And it's got this upper layer of sort of buzzing, airy distortion on top of it too, which I really liked. It's very expansive, makes me think of a Big Vista. The other patch that comes in right here is really only what I can describe as plugging in a very old amp with distortion on it. That's just kind of what it sounds like, and it's called Rolling Texture. And you can hear it move around. I mean, none of these patches stay still. So moving on, we have that section again. It comes in and swells once again. First with a major chord. That swell sounds like everything is just kind of crumbling away, like everything is just degrading, and I love that. The next patch that I have come in is another vocal patch, and that sounds like this. This one is serious Johan Johansson vibes. I'm not sure what she's saying. It sounds like don't, but it gives me the shivers, so I really like it. And this one, naturally, I put a little black hole reverb on it to kind of give it that extra space. And the next one that I have come in, again, sounds like a sort of harmonic metallic pad, but it was actually created using a double bass, which I find awesome. And that's this one. I like that it pulses. And lastly, I just have this ambience come in. It's not tonal, it just kind of provides some extra space and extra noise. This one's called Tone Memory. For some reason, it reminds me of like a saw and whispers and screaming and just something really, really dark and disturbing about it. So yeah, that is my track. That's Blood Before Dusk. I wrote it in about an hour. I really, really wanted to limit myself to just using this plugin and seeing how quickly I can create something ambient and something with a lot of texture. As far as whether I recommend to buy this library, yes, absolutely. And I'm not just being biased because they sent it to me. I greatly appreciate that, but this is absolutely a library that I'm going to use all the time. For one, it's only $29. So $29, I mean, you might as well. I mean, I think I spent more on Uber Eats last night. There are a few cons. I don't like all of the vocal patches. Some of them are too attacky, I guess I would say. You hear how the attack is a very kind of abrupt transient, so it sounds kind of fake. However, they do have this attack slider, so you can fix that, but it does get kind of annoying because all of the vocal patches kind of have that issue. Right, let's check out another vocal patch. Yeah, it's a great sound, but like I said, I have to pull the attack up on all of these, so they don't sound like as soon as they start. Another con for me is I'm not sure what to do with this reamp slider. Obviously, it's supposed to be important. It's at the top. It's the only one that doesn't control, normal things like attack, release, delay, etc. And some patches, you can hear it subtly, and then some patches you can't really hear the difference at all. So, for example, I'll play this. turn the reamp up. As you can see, there is an audible difference, but it's so subtle, and I'm not sure that it's worth it to me. When using this, I didn't really open up the reamp thing and try it on every single patch, so there might be some patches that are vastly different, but for me, it's mostly just too subtle. Let's try it on these octave swarms. I didn't use this one in the piece. Now this one sounds like Guitar Untamed, if Westwood were to create that. But let's turn the reamp slider up now. And see, that one just sounds like it added reverb to it, like it's put into a space and it's a little bit more wet. It doesn't sound reamped to me. I actually appreciate that one gives it a little bit more, you know, sort of distance to the sound, but I'm not sure that I would use that. Lastly, and I wouldn't really even call this a complaint, but I just wasn't a fan of a lot of the modular synthesizer sounds, and that's because I'm not a fan of modular synthesis in general. There's just something about the sound of modular synths that kind of ick me. I don't know exactly what it is. Some of these sound great, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I used acceleration and I used dissonant broken in the piece. But most of these are kind of unusable for me. The texture ones are great. The double bass ones, which I'm assuming all of these were made with a double bass, I find that amazing, and these are probably worth buying the library by itself. This is a cool patch. Harmonic stabs. Super cool. So yeah, that is Speculative Memories by Spitfire Audio and Yair Elazar Glotman. Thank you for watching, and thank you so much to Spitfire for sending this library to me. I really appreciate it. This is definitely my vibe. This is definitely my aesthetic, and I'm definitely going to use this quite a bit. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. It really helps me with the algorithm and helps people like Spitfire find my videos, and so I can do more things like this. Alrighty guys, see you next time.